Hail to the victor. Only L I get is the big picture. You ain't gotta get it if you know you know.
Thank you for tuning in to A Name Tag is Necessary. I'm Nametag Alexander. Episodes for this show are available on your preferred podcast platform, including Anchor, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and more. Now, if you're listening to this on the Apple Podcast app and you like the content that you hear, make sure you take a minute to at least leave a rating and a review about the show. There'll be a link in the show's description that I'm going to include. Also, to the emailing address, it's going to be a link to the emailing address if you're interested in joining. And if you want to support directly, or even like send a voice note to shout out the podcast, or maybe even suggest a music-related topic, I have links in the description for that too. Shout out and congrats to Apollo Brown. The track 365 featuring Roast Spit, myself, Ty Ferris from Apollo Brown, Sincerely Detroit is on the FIFA 21 Volta soundtrack, courtesy of EA Sports. That soundtrack as well, the playlist, I should say, for the soundtrack is available on Spotify, and I'm also post a link in the description for that. Y'all know how I am about sync licensing, man. So this is a major look. I said this year, like, a video game placement is one of the things I wanted to be a part of as far as like getting a sync placement, and it happened. That's something that's true to manifestation, man. You definitely got to just write it down, but act on it. Of course, you can't just write it down and not do nothing, but definitely take action. And man, it happened. I'm glad to be a part of that project. Sincerely Detroit is a very dope album. So, it came out, 2019, I want to say. He dropped it October 2019. But yeah, anyway, 365 featuring Roast Spit, myself, Ty Ferris is on the FIFA 21 Volta soundtrack. I also got new music out myself that'll be available across all music streaming platforms by the time you hear this episode. It's called The Victor, produced by Black Bethoven. Shout out. Desmond Travis, a.k.a. DJ DDT, of course, is on the mix and master. And I love the cover art, man. I don't know. It was just something I came together with. I love the cover art for it. But I originally released it at nametagalexander.com. But by the time you hear this episode, it should be out on Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal and such. But anyway, I'm rambling. Let's get into the topic. Now, what I want to cover pretty much this is more so for like independent music artists, because you're likely going to wear more hats than one unless you've assigned specific responsibilities to someone else to fit the job. So as an indie artist outside of writing, you probably recording yourself. You more than likely mixing the music, sometimes knocking out the artwork for your single or your project. You probably shooting, like some of y'all, this can be time consuming. I don't do it per se, but you more than likely shooting and editing your own videos. And it's usually like this because you're self-taught and you got pretty good at it, but also, just to pretty much cut costs. Mind you, that's a creative process in itself. But it's also, like I said, it's also time consuming, but we don't always recognize the time it takes up because we're doing what we love. So for the most part, it doesn't feel like work. So let's factor in what I would call administrative work. Not just what I call it. That's what it's called. Administrative work that comes with being an independent artist, though. Now, unless you've assigned somebody to handle administrative duties that qualify, but even with that, it's still important to at least know what most administrative work consists of. So even if you're not handling it yourself, you still kind of want to know, like, and get the gist of like what it is that takes place with that. Like I just feel like in music, that should be the mindset to have if your intent is to have a sustainable career. Now, I'm not a know-it-all. I wouldn't call myself like a know-it-all with any of this, but I'm sharing with you I'm saying this if you listen and you happen to be an independent music artist, I'm sharing with you what I learn as I go. I don't like just hoarding information. I said this before earlier on the one of the episodes. I think it was the first episode under A Name Tag is Necessary. I brought this up, but I want to share it, as I learn. But a lot of it is from experience I gained over the years of being a complete independent songwriter or recording artist as well. I know it's common to want to like just only write and record and perform the songs and that be that. But, it's important to have an understanding of the other pieces, especially if it involves you getting revenue, as I should say. So we want to start with making sure the first step, one of the first steps is making sure you register with a performing rights organization or or simply said PRO. You've likely heard plenty songwriters or producers, even record labels make mention of ASCAP, BMI, or other CSAC is one of them too, and performer rights organizations. Now, the job of a PRO, what they do is they collect royalties on behalf of songwriters and publishers. Now, they're the bridge for the ones who own the music composition, the copyrights, and those who use they're the bridge for it because they pretty much represent them, or as I said earlier, they collect on behalf for them, and those who use the what am I trying to say? Like I said, they're the bridge for the ones who own the music composition copyrights, and those who use the music per the platform. So, for example, like streaming services, radio, or like if your music is being played in a department store. Like if you ever walk into I don't want to use. Well, let's say if you go into a shoe store like Foot Locker, Foot Action, you're hearing music like play. You might hear what's a song? Let's say if you heard a song by SZA or whatever. What's the new song with SZA and Ty Dolla? Hit Different. Don't even her and Ty Dolla Sign. You hear that in the department store, right? Now they get paid from that. Their label, they get paid from that. They get paid royalties based off that. From a performing rights organization, like I say, an ASCAP or a BMI. Now, when you register as a songwriter or a composer, which basically for a composer, that's pretty much like a producer, the beat maker, the person behind the production of the music. It's when you register, you want to do it with your government name, as that is what it'll appear in the song credits that you will see. Like if you could look on Spotify or Tidal does it. They provide the song credits now. And you will see, like, okay, with me in this case, it'll be Alexander Robinson. You will see that you're not going to just see Nametag Alexander. That's my performance name. But if you look in the credits on Tidal or, like I say, Spotify, you're going to see Alexander Robinson as the songwriter. And I think it's only with Spotify, they'll show the producer as well as a songwriter, because that's how ASCAP or BMI looks at it as it anyway. Once you register as a songwriter, it gives you the option anyhow to select composer or songwriter when you register in the music. Now, songwriters are usually paid through 3 specific royalty avenues. The first one is mechanical royalties, which is based from the sale of a song, which is, music is selling, but more so like streams today. A stream is a royalty in itself, but so I don't stray from the first one. Like I say, mechanical royalties is pretty much the sale of a song or a legal digital download. The second one will be performance royalties, which connects to publishing, but we'll get to that in a second, which is when your music is played. Performance royalties, that's pretty much when your music is being played on terrestrial, broadcast radio, live performance venues. If they play your music in live performance venues, or if you perform it in live performance venues, they have it to where you can register and get paid from that. And also online streaming services. You could register. Like I was saying, you could register your set list each quarter with ASCAP, and I believe BMI. I'm not sure how BMI does it because I'm registered with ASCAP. But you could register your set list, like the main songs you perform or whatever your set was for that particular performance. You would register that set list, and I want to say it's every quarter. So the thing is, I did it before, but I did it when it was too late. That's the thing. I used to always perform and wait till it was too late to register. Just not doing my due diligence for the most part. But that's one of the ways you could also get performance royalties, which was one of the second ways. And as I mentioned earlier, another PRO is CSAC. But what if your music is mostly played on radio overseas, right? Or you're more so known for performing the most overseas. Or if you see that your streaming, the stats from your streaming is mostly overseas. Like for y'all that have the artists that have the artist Spotify account, I think it's like artist.spotify.com or spotify.artist.com, one of the ways, but you would check and you could see like where your music, and that's not just with Spotify. That's you could do it with the Apple music artists. I think Amazon has launched the beta 2 for Amazon artists. But you could check and see the stats where how you're performing in different countries other than the U.S., of course. Like mine, I could check mine and I could have let's say the United States is number one, but it might show the United Kingdom as the second most plays where I'm getting my music listened to or whatever, just as an example. Now, how do you get revenue from that, right? That connects in a sense to the publishing, which, like I said, stream in itself, and I don't want to be all over the place with it. I'm trying to stick to how I got my notes written out here, but you get the performance royalties, which is something separate from mechanical royalties. Like I said, that's based on how your music is performing in live venues, just basically like overseas, radio for the most part, but we'll also get into that in a moment. All right, before we continue, this is for all the independent music artists across the board. That's from the songwriters, the producers, the publishers, on down to the recording artists. I need y'all to tap in. This will be real quick. If you plan on continuing to pursue or start pursuing a career in music, if you haven't done so already, you definitely need to get familiar with the inner workings of the business handled outside of the creative process. A lack of knowledge on the administrative end, that can lead to you being lost out here in the oversaturated music industry. But you can avoid being lost by tapping into getting the necessary resources brought to you by the College of Hip Hop. They have artist ownership tools to help you navigate the music business. Now there's 2 artist ownership bundles. The Artist Ownership Bundle 1, it includes 4 video lessons to assist the artist in owning the rights to their musical works, along with a PDF to visit the website locations taught in the lessons that include basic copyrights, publishing, and encoding. Now Artist Ownership Bundle 2, it includes 3 video lessons that assist the artist in owning the rights to their musical works, along with the resource guide to visit the website locations taught in those lessons that include the Articles of Incorporation, ISRC encoding, and basic trademark. You can access both bundles by clicking on the links I've included in the description of this episode. Now let's continue with the show. But how do you see revenue from it? We'll get into why you will need to link with the publishing administration as far as collecting those particular royalties. Now there's a third royalty stream, which is a sync fee. A sync fee is what you receive, as I mentioned earlier. We had the placement with FIFA. I got a couple other placements lined up, but a sync fee is what you receive when your music is being used in TV, movies, video games, so on and so forth. I say that to say, if you just recording your music and you're releasing it without being registered as not registered as a PRO, but not being registered to a PRO, you doing yourself a disservice. And one of the ways you can register is going through ASCAP.com or BMI.com. I say those two because they're the main 2 that I'm familiar with. I know CSAC. I think you got to be invited for that. I know, what artist do I think is Blacksmith. Shout out to Blacksmith, but I think he's registered through CSAC. I had to ask him how that works. But ASCAP.com or BMI.com to sign up. I signed up as a songwriter with ASCAP, which was in, I want to say 04 or 05. And it was a one-time fee, just $50 was the fee across the board for songwriters and publishers too. It hasn't changed. I went and checked before I did the episode. BMI is free for songwriters. That's dope. It's free flat out for songwriters to register, and $150 for publishers. But at the end of the day, like I say, it's worth it because this is how you get paid, period. Don't just sit there and put your music out on these platforms and just rely on the streaming, because again, a stream itself is a royalty alone. That's a royalty in itself. That 0.000 that you ain't really seeing nothing off of, and when it boiled down to it, you might see a $7 check. Like, don't just rely on that. Register your music through these services like ASCAP or BMI, so you could really collect what you really do. And like, cause trust me, stay with me. I'm gonna get into it. I'm getting, kind of hyped just thinking about all this and sharing this information. But I use myself as an example. That covers why you need to register it though. Overall, well, not registering just your music, but you signing up, period, as a songwriter or a publisher. A music publisher holds the rights to songs from songwriters or the lyricists and the composers. So technically, if you're not signed to a record label, then you're not the only songwriter, but you take on a responsibility of the publisher as well. So basically, with that being said, why not get paid to be both? But that's only if you're willing to what comes with being a publisher. If you're willing to take on that role overall, because that's a lot. Like just literally taking on a full-on role of a publisher, so it's a lot. And I'm gonna say why in a little bit. Now, there are deals in place that you assign a publisher to do on your behalf. And you may have heard me mention once before. You may have just heard other, artists or people that work in music administration mention it, but a publishing administration. I use myself as an example too, and I'm gonna get into the publishing administrations in a minute. Basically, I registered as a songwriter and publisher through ASCAP. Like I said, I registered as a songwriter back in like 04 or 05, and I want to say as a publisher, it might have been tail into 05, early 06, I think. So in song credits, like I said earlier, you will see my name appear as Alexander Robinson, but as a publisher, you will see Volume Up Entertainment, and connected to that, you will see Seal Publishing, SILLE Publishing, as one of the publishers. That Seal Publishing is the publishing administration that collects worldwide on my behalf. I created Volume Up Entertainment early on, trying to build a label. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, that was early 2000s because I thought that'd be dope to also making my publisher name. But whatever, I never went forward with making anything official outside of Volume Up Entertainment being a publisher name. Your publisher name can be any clever entity that you think of as long as it's available. Again, like I said, Seal Publishing is the publishing administration that's courtesy of Pro Sound Media. But they basically dig. This is what a publishing administration is going to do. They're basically going to dig through the digital mud to collect royalties on your behalf so that you don't continue to have royalties out here in this, I guess we would call it a digital black box online. You will see this said often. There's a black box of unclaimed royalties. I think it's last time I checked, shout out to April Woodard for mentioning this, but I want to say it's like 2 billion. So that's 2 billion bread. You know what I'm saying? That's out there in unclaimed royalties. So register, man, like get that shit together and make sure you collect that money that's due to you. Or like I say, have someone collect on your behalf. The music publisher also manage your catalog. And like I said, they're going to make sure you get all of the royalties that's owed to you. This will bring me back to what I mentioned earlier about getting royalties based on how your music performs internationally. Now, a music publisher or, like I said, publishing administration gets a cut of the income generated by your songs based on what percentages are worked out. There might be an 80-20. In most cases, you might get the 50-50. I've never heard of the 60-40, but for the most part, they're going to collect on your behalf. Whatever percentage you work out, that's what you work out. But, get your paper, get your money collected for you. Now, to a music publisher with ASCAP and BMI, they pay out based only in the United States. Last time I checked, they only pay out based on the United States. Again, this is where the right publishing administration comes in handy because they collect internationally. So like I said earlier, just reeling that back in, your music could be performing well, being played on radio. I'm not just talking about the streaming services, but it could be performing well on radio overseas. They could be playing your music in venues, or you know what I mean? It could just be performing way better overseas. What if you get a sync placement and it's overseas? You need to collect that. So yeah, definitely register with a publisher that had, to serve as the administration to collect on your behalf. Let's see. Where am I at with this? Covered that. I'm just going through my notes. Okay. But just to kind of reconfirm what performance is, because I keep saying your music performing overseas or performance basically as far as you collecting performance royalties. A performance equals radio spins, digital performance, TV, film, or actual live performances. Like I said earlier, as far as you performing your set list at venues, or anyone just using your music that gotta pay. Matter of fact, your music being spent in a venue. Anyone using your music, they must pay ASCAP or BMI the licensing fees to actually play the music. I'll move on to percentages for the most part because y'all know I keep saying like get paid, collect, get your royalties. Okay, but how is this split? How is this pie bust down? Now with ASCAP, a work or let's just say a song is based on 100% share, and it's 200% with BMI. Why is it 200%? I don't know, but that's what it is with BMI. Neither of those PROs pay out more than the other, though. So whatever is 25% out of 100 of a song share with ASCAP or 50 out of 200 with BMI. Now, the payout is basically the same. Like I said, the percentages are based on the shares of the songwriters and the publishers. So with BMI and ASCAP, Again, you get paid twice as a songwriter and a publisher. Reeling it back in, circling right back around on why I said it's important to register as both. The last thing on my list that I wanted to cover too was making sure you register with Sound Exchange. Now, Sound Exchange is a little different. It's a nonprofit organization, and what they do is they collect and distribute the digital performance royalties on behalf of recording artists. So this is not just songwriters. We're talking about recording artists, the people who, let's say I wrote a song for someone, but they recorded in the studio. Bam. They're the recording artist. They can register with Sound Exchange and get paid royalties based off that. Pretty much that's what that is. But in this case, I'm a songwriter and a recording artist. So not only am I getting paid through ASCAP and BMI as a recording art, as a songwriter, I'm also getting paid from Sound Exchange because of me being a recording artist. So register with that too. That's free. They don't tax you for that. Sound Exchange basically is beneficial. Like I said, just to kind of reiterate that, it's beneficial to the rapper or the singer, the person that actually performs a song. So you ever look at the song credits and the person that's the one that's singing the song, you look in the song credits and you see a bunch of other names? Well, the songwriters are getting paid from that, again, through ASCAP, BMI, but the person that's actually performing the song, they get paid through Sound Exchange. So the royalties that Sound Exchange collects, they distribute, is for the featured artist. Just to sum that up, just always remember that. That's why it's important that you register with Sound Exchange flat out. ASCAP, BMI, and CSEC, they collect and distribute the royalties. Just to recap that again, for the songwriter, the composer, and or the publishers for those songs, pretty much. So just to sum that up, imagine you're the music artist who wrote, produced, and recorded the music, and you're also a publisher with the publishing administration that collects for you. That, if I'm not mistaken, that's you're pretty much getting paid 3 times over as the songwriter, the recording artist, and the publisher. And then, of course, like the publishing administration, they getting they cut on their behalf too. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Just to kind of confirm what y'all would want to do is it's important. I know I was all over the place with it, but that's pretty much the process. Those are like 3 main important things that you want to register with, whether it's ASCAP or BMI, just registering as a songwriter, a publisher, and also registering through Sound Exchange. I would say 4 because you're going to need to link. It's going to be important that you link with another music publisher, and just to kind of touch bases on that, a co-publishing agreement, I should say. And that's pretty much a publishing administration for the most part. That's going to be that person that's going to collect for you worldwide. So remember that they'll collect worldwide. Your music is not just playing in the United States unless you choose to have it that way, which would be crazy, but it's not just playing in this country only. So it's going to be important that worldwide someone is collecting on your behalf. Why not do that? Take that $50. I say $50 because that's what it is with ASCAP, or take the $150 if you're going to do it with BMI. It's free to register as a songwriter with BMI. Take that money that you was going to just blow on some bullshit if you can afford it. Obviously, if you was going to blow it on some bullshit, then you can afford it. But yeah, even if you got to put a couple dollars away, take that bread and register, man. It's your career. Why not? You know what I'm saying? Why not? What you got to lose? Just go ahead and do it and start collecting it. And it's going to take some time. It's not going to be nothing that you're going to see like immediately. I remember one time, this was, I want to say last year, I'm aware that I'm registered through Sound Exchange. End up getting a check in the mail. Check wasn't nothing about $60 maybe, but it was so random and out of I probably put it on gas. I use that. I didn't blow the whole 60 on gas, but I'm saying like part of that went toward gas when you get around back and forth or whatever. But it was just random. It was like, oh shit, like whatever quarter it was. It was in the winter time, so that was probably like second quarter. No, first quarter. My bad. I'm looking like, oh shit, but that's what I'm saying. Register, you know what I'm saying? Register, as I can't stress it enough. Songwriter registration, publisher registration. You ain't got to be no super overthought name as a publisher neither. Like whatever, Jim Shoe Music Publishing, whatever you could think of, or it could just be your government name. You're gonna register as a songwriter anyway, so that's gonna be your government name, or you can make your publishing name the same thing, whatever. But do it. It's important. Yeah. That's pretty much all I got. I just wanted to make sure I shared that information. Again, I was all over the place, but the information needed to get out. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to touch bases on this even more once I get somebody on here. I probably had Theo Ellis on here again to kind of give a more deep dive on everything with that. But it's important, man. We can't just continue to, let me put out some music because it's time for me to just drop some music, but you ain't got the business end handled. You know what I mean? So yeah, why not do that? www.nametagalexander.com. The Victor single is out now. Work, Win, Repeat. The EP is available now. Make sure you go to the website. Again, nametagalexander.com. Order some merch. Get the vinyl. Had the vinyl. The vinyl was dope. DJ DDT copped one. He's still spinning it. But yeah, order some merch. We got the t-shirts. I'm working on some more merch too that I want to have coming soon. We got the label hats. I'll rock my label hat faithfully. But yeah, that's all I got. So yeah, till next time. Peace.